welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be giving you a review of the General Hospital fan event at Graceland. This was the best weekend ever. May I dare say it was better than last year. This year we got the Haunted Star package, which means that we got to go to more events than we did last year. We got into auto and photo sessions earlier and a couple other fun things. But every single package gets all the autographs and all the photos, which is like the main part of the weekend, I feel like. And they all get to go to the panels. The Haunted Star is basically just the food, and then you get one more celebrity event. So you get an extra 2 hours of celebrity time. So let's start at the beginning because the whole thing is like actually wild, and there's so many like unprecedented things, like the things that you just can't plan for. On Thursday, I went to school as normal. I literally went to my printmaking class. My grandpa picked us up and took us to the airport at an undisclosed location, which some of you actually do know, but whatever. I saw on Instagram that all the cast was together on an airplane. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. They're all flying in together. And I watched as they were on the plane and then we were on a plane. And we got into Memphis like super late. Like it was 11 and we had to wait for an Uber for like an hour because nobody would pick us up because it was so late. It was around like 12:30 before we got in an Uber. We got dropped off, and then we walked in, and I looked around, and I looked at my mom, and I go, the entire cast of General Hospital is checking in right now. And she goes, no, they're not. And I go, yes, they are. And my mom goes, okay, let's go. Here I am standing as all of the people that are at my convention, all the celebrities are all checking in. And I was like looking around, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like counting who was there. I was trying to figure out how many of them were there. Some of them weren't there. What was happening? So I was like looking, and I turned around to like look behind me, and Chris McKenna was standing right behind me. And he goes, hi. I turned around and I went down. And he said something like to my mom, because my mom also fell over the luggage when she saw him. He goes, don't fall over. There's no falling. There's no need for falling. Or something like that. And we had a full conversation with him, like while we were waiting to check in. Like he asked our names, he shook our hands, introduced himself, told us he was going to perform at the nurses' ball. My mom told him he was tall, which I told him later in the weekend. And I barely told him we had connecting flights. I have no recollection of that. And then Tanisha Harper, who plays Jordan Ashford, she's the third Jordan. She asked Chris, because while she was checking in, she was like, are they going out later? And then he laughed and he like did this face and he goes, they've been making fun of me all day because apparently he was the only one with a regular size luggage. The rest of them all had carry-ons. And so they were making fun of him for being old all day, which I thought was kind of funny. And then Kelly Tebow went up to check and loudly goes, I want the penthouse suite, which was kind of a highlight for my mom. She talked about it a lot. She's like, she's so fun. I hate Brit. Anyway, we saw and waved at almost every single person except for Josh Kelly. I also want to apologize sincerely for how much I talk about Josh Kelly because it was like the biggest part of the weekend for me. Maybe not for everybody else, but for me, Josh Kelly was the weekend. Who we had the shirts for, and we didn't see him when he was checking in. So like I was like, oh my gosh, what if he's not here? And so I went to bed concerned. And like we went over like every single solitary scenario except for the reason why he wasn't there, and I'll tell you that whenever we find out. So we went to bed and we woke up and we got ready for Friday. Now we are at Friday. We went to eat at the hotel, which I got my nachos or my pulled pork and like barbecue nachos. They're so good. If you ever go to Graceland, you need to try them. After we ate, we went to pick up our badges and tickets, and while we were waiting for the bus, we saw a van get in an Uber, in which we later saw in a story was the Civil Rights Museum, which Rory and Caitlin went to on Saturday after their panel. Anyways, after we were now standing at the bus stop, I was still worried about Josh Kelly. I was like, he has to be here, right? He has to be here. And I heard a lady, I was listening to these people next to me, and this lady goes, oh, I saw him at the bar. And I was like, oh, who are they talking about? And so I was listening, and he goes, oh yeah, Josh Kelly, the one who plays Cody. And I was like, oh, thank God. Which was the singular place that we didn't discuss. Like, we talked about everything, bro. We were like, oh, maybe he was in the bathroom. We were making up so many scenarios. And heaven forbid we remembered he was at the bar, because of course Josh Kelly's at the bar. Anyways, we were relieved he was here, or I was mostly relieved. My mom was laughing at me. And then apparently he was like literally sitting on his suitcase at the bar, which is hilarious. After we picked up our badges, we went back to the hotel because we needed to watch Thursday's episode because we got in so late. We didn't have time to watch it on Thursday. We needed to watch that so we were ready for Friday's screening, so we were 100% caught up. Then we went and sat in the lobby and we saw Chris McKenna. We got a selfie with him, which I'll show here. It's really cute. He went to go pick up some whiskey because my mom goes, what did you not have in your luggage? And he goes, I had to go get whiskey. I can bring that. And then he said he stepped in a mud puddle, all the fun stuff. Also in the photo, he goes, do you really want this photo? Me with my really pasty thighs? That's ingrained in my memory forever, actually. Then Ryan Peavy came down and all the little old ladies like swarmed him. He was like in the hallway and then he was like slowly walking and like he was trying to get to the lobby. And so he slowly, and the ladies followed him all the way to the lobby, which was so awkward. I was like, can you leave this guy a little bit of personal space? Because they were like right up with him and he was like, That's super awkward. He came down and like, he yapped a lot, which he was waiting for the bus because all the celebrities were going to Graceland that night. So they had like a special group picture, which I'll show you. And then while Ryan was still there, my mom goes, "Is that Josh Kelly?" Oh, that's not him, because he looks really different right currently versus he does on the show, because his hair is crazy. You'll see it in the pictures. But Josh Kelly was at the check-in counter, and Mom was like, "Oh, I bet he locked his key in his room," which was hilarious. I was like, this is great. And he had like 10 people, like 10 ladies staring at him. I like peeked up and I looked over the couch, and he turned around, and you could tell he wasn't, like, he was doing something important, like at the check-in counter. He was talking to somebody, getting towels, whatever he was doing something. And he turned around, and you watched his face turn on. It was the funniest thing ever, because he wasn't ready for that many people to be having swarmed him. That was hilarious. He goes, "Hi, I have to go. Thank you guys so much." And then he like darted out. It was hilarious. After that, we went to the costume party. We ate there, and the food was good. It was good. So who was there? So Josh Kelly hosted, which was super fun. I'll show you pictures because he's so funny. He's also a disaster. So like, I don't know why they let him host everything, but he's hilarious, and I was just laughing the entire time. And I'll show you some clips here too.
All right, everybody. Enough horsing around. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. General Hospital and feel kind of nice. The fans are really waiting for some news so much. I'll come back if you'll have me.
But the celebrities come out and look at the tables. We had Braden and Gio look at ours, but it was Josh Kelly, Van, Rory, Kelly. So, and once they picked out who they liked the most, they went back on stage, and Josh announced them hilariously. And it was like kind of like a normal cosplay contest, but he really didn't like when people were dressed like Halloween outfits, like not General Hospital, because it was actually Halloween. It was on the 31st of October. So yeah, so a lot of people did have their regular Halloween costumes because they couldn't wear them otherwise. If somebody was dressed as Tracy, Curtis, there was a lady dressed as Curtis, which I thought was hilarious, but apparently she got clearance from Donnell to do it. Somebody dressed as Outback. After they finished, Kelly, Josh, Gio, Braden, and Chris came down to take pictures. I don't know where Rory went. He must have just left. We got Chris, who remembered us from earlier, because we were like, we have to remember us because we checked in with you. And then I got a picture with Van. We got solo shots with Van. Josh Kelly, who my mom told we had shirts for the next day, but he's so spastic. He was like, "Oh, okay." I don't think he was ready for his face on our shirt, which I'll talk more about later. And then like the little dance party. And then after the dance party, we went back to our hotel when we went to the theater for the screening of Friday's episode. This is where you scope out our seats and try to see where our seats are. We were in row J, so we were the very front of the Haunted Star. And this year they had tables for the Port Charles as well as the Metro Court. Then we went to bed, so we were ready for Saturday. On Saturday, we went to our first panel, which was Caitlin and Rory. Lynn Herring hosted for the day, who plays Lucy. The next day, Carly hosted. It was good. Caitlin was more likable than I thought she was going to be, and I was really hoping she would, but she seemed really sweet, which made me super excited to meet her. Rory was not super likable for me from the panel, but my mom liked him at this point, and he did leave some other under the table, like funny comments, like dry humor. I was worried they're going to be like really mean, like the fans, to Caitlin because of the storyline with Drew and Willow currently, because they're eating poor Cameron Matheson alive. But everyone was really respectful, which was really shocking. They were actually more rude to Chris. I don't know why, because I guess they don't like him. The next panel was Kelly and Ryan, which was kind of difficult because they both have storylines right now that they can not talk about because they've barely unraveled. They've just both came back from the dead, and we don't really know how they came back from the dead or like what's happening. But they did say that it's usually about a month, so they knew a month out, which is rough because you'd think, oh, a month's not that bad considering soap operas go for 12 months every year. A month is kind of a long time. A lot can happen in 1 month, especially because November sweeps is coming up. The third and final panel was Laura and Chris. They mostly asked Laura questions, obviously, but Chris did very well answering, not answering. He was really likable. I like Chris. That was it for the first day of the panels. And this time around, I did notice that there were some extra fan questions. So the moderators, who was today Lynn, she didn't ask as many. They mostly went out to the audience, which can be a good and a bad thing. But I think that they need to, for this one, they need to first of all have these people walk up to the microphone like they do at Creation and at 90s Con for that Christmas Con, that's for entertainment, because because people were like telling them their life stories, which I really don't care. Ask questions. Like if you're gonna ask a question, ask a question. I hate it when people go up, they're like, oh, yes, you have a question, and they're like, you saved my life. Like, that's great. Tell them at the autograph sessions because you do get to meet them. Which they didn't like clarify that enough to be like, oh, we need to ask questions instead of telling them a whole life story. After that, we went and ate nachos. We did the auto and photo session, which this time it went very fast to get in there. I don't know if there was just less people, which we did notice that there were definitely less people because of the tables for Metro Court and Port Charles, but it went very fast. We went in super quick because the last time it took like forever and it was like so stressful. So we had side A on the first date, which was Josh Kelly, Kelly Thibault, Ryan Phoebe, Tanisha Harper, Caitlin McMullen, and Donnell Turner, which were 2 out of the 4 I was excited for. So they sent us to Donnell first, which last year they didn't. They just let us go wherever we wanted, but they said start at Donnell's line for everybody. So my mom told him that he messed up on my name last year because he wrote Kale, which is hilarious, and I love it so much. And he was the only one on side A we didn't get a selfie with, and he was also the only one overall that we did not hug. And the reason about the selfies are not everybody, because on the second day they don't let you take selfies because they don't have as much time. Then we went and saw Tanisha. She was really nice, like nicer than I expected because she's very a beautiful lady. She liked our Josh Kelly shirts, and apparently they did their first TV show together, which was interesting. We got hugs, got a selfie, took the professional photo. Then we went to the really one that I'm going to talk about for like 45 minutes. So if you don't want to hear all this, just... So we got in Josh Kelly's line, which obviously was really fun because we had the Josh Kelly shirts. And we saw him see us in the very way back. And like as we got closer and closer, he couldn't focus anymore. 3 people before us, he goes, I'm so sorry. I can't focus. These people have my face on their shirts. He's like hilarious. He's like the best. And he was literally wearing the same shirt that he wore in 2023 apparently. And it literally had a hole in it. He didn't care. And apparently it had a hole in it in 2023. So this man knew he had a hole in his shirt and it kept going. He went to hug us immediately, and we ended up hugging him 4 times in total, which is great. We got extra love, and he did our autos, and he wrote love the shirts, and on my mom he wrote also and then signed his name, which I thought was cute. We got our autos and then we took a selfie. He goes, I need a copy of this, can you send this to me? And then he goes, hold on. And he turned around, he got his phone, and he took a photo of him on his phone. It was funny because he went to take it by putting his like arm around me, then he realized he couldn't, his arm wasn't long enough, so he went forward, and then I like popped up behind him, and he did. I gave him his bracelets and he read them, and he's like, and he like didn't read those first. He like, he goes, oh, thank you so much. And he set them down, and then he went to pick them back up to read them. I don't know why. And the one I made of his username is just joking JK, which is cute. And he actually laughed at it. I don't know why. And then we hugged him for that 4th time, and we left, and he goes to the next people, why don't you have a shirt with my face on it? Then we went to Ryan, and he's like a super chill dude. We hugged him too. He's stiff, and he talked about, not as stiff as Jesse Metcalf. He talked about his Christmas movies a little bit, and his bracelets were also a little too small. Heck if I know how big his wrist is gonna be. Then we went and saw Caitlin, who I love Willow, or I used to love Willow before she was with Drew. Anyways, this is the first time I ever met someone I like really liked from the show. That was more my person versus my mom's. And she also has an orange tabby, and it's like the same age as ours. And I gave her 2 bracelets, one that said Orange Cat Mom, and then another one with a cute little orange kitty charm with Astro. And she loved them, and we showed her Nala, and she went to show us Astro, and she goes, I don't have my phone, I left it. And she said she was gonna put all of the cat photos on her story, so I'm gonna hold her accountable to that. We got a selfie, got the autos, got the professional photo, and we got hugs from her. She's so cute. I actually asked for the hugs, which that was one of, I think, the first time I ever asked for a hug without my mom asking first, or it just happening. Then we went and saw Kelly Thibault, who misspelled my mom's name, AMY. We got Otto's professional selfie. I'm not a fan of Brit, so I really don't have much to say, and she was right next to Josh Kelly, so here was me the whole time. She did call out Josh Kelly and say, oh, they have your face, and he goes, yeah, I know. I paid them $10 before we got here to do that. Then we did the nurses ball, and this time we got to eat dinner, which we did on Friday night. When you sit down for dinner, either time, the celebrities don't come out until an hour after you eat, so they're not eating at the same time you're watching, and they'll take all your glass from you because I'm assuming they don't want you to throw glass at the celebrities. This nurses ball honestly might have been better than last year's. However, Josh Kelly didn't perform, but he did make an appearance, so it was fine. First, Tanisha introduced us, then Lynn came out, and Lynn had about 6 outfit changes, she said during the panel. First performance was from Chris McKenna, who's extremely talented, and he won over all those little ladies, and I can show you a clip we took here. He's really talented. He did a number, then Gio came out, did a number, which was the same one he did on GH for the Nurses Ball, which is his song called Glow, that apparently it was on his first EP. And then Kelly and Chris did a number. And they did did the casting call, which Josh Kelly hosted. And I don't know why they had Josh Kelly host so much because he's a disaster, but I love him and it was really entertaining for me. Caitlin and Rory came out to do those scenes with the fans that they do. So they basically do like readings. They do script readings. They take scripts from General Hospital. People submit like a week before the show and they get picked. Then after that, they announced there's going to be an act 2. So we took an intermission. Then Gio, Kelly, and Brayden did a number. Gio played guitar with Brayden and they sang Landslide, which is on Gio's and I think Brayden's Instagram account. And if you haven't seen it, you should go listen to it because she's so cute and she's so talented. It was so beautiful. Then they sang the song that they sing at the nurses' ball in the show, which I will show a clip here. Inside our hearts, you are the reason we believe you're not alone anymore. After all that, they did have a legacy episode screening that night on Saturday, which they had last year, but we didn't go. Then we woke up on Sunday and started the day off with panels. Laura Wright was the moderator for the day, as I said, so we started with Gio and Brayden. The only thing I really remember from that panel is Gio going, oh, I eat all the food. So all the food on the set of General Hospital is real, so when you see them eating or drinking, they're actually drinking. And Gio will go and eat the food. Then was Van and Josh. The only thing I remember is that Van likes working with the Auras. That's what we go home and call them the Auras because it's Maura West who plays Ava and then Laura Wright who plays Carly. Van did actually too much talking. And the final panel was Tanisha and Donnell. Tanisha was funny because she would really like to have a storyline, which I get because she has no storyline. Then we did the autos and photos. We went to side B, so it was Lynn Herring, Rory, Laura, Chris, Van, and Gio and Brayden together. We saved Lynn for last because she always has the absolute longest line. This was day 2, so we couldn't get selfies, so we just wanted to make sure we got our GH sign, press for photos, and the regular photo sign. So we got hugs from everybody on this side as well. We started with Rory. He was really nice. He was really chill too. I was like really nervous. I don't know why, but my mom said we liked him in YNR and asked about Joshua Morrow. Joshua Morrow, who plays Nick Newman on YNR, and his son and Rory all go to dinner, which I thought was funny. And then we went and saw Chris, and when I went to give him his hug, Chris McKenna's really tall. He's 6'2". I'm 5'6". I went to give him a hug, and I go, I'm sorry, you're really tall. Like, you try to go over, you know, because you don't want to be like, that would be weird. Yeah, and it didn't go well. I couldn't get up there. I said, oh, sorry, you're tall. And he goes, I know. I gave him bracelets. I gave him one for Brendan and Carly, one for the WSB, and then I gave him a 902 and 01, which he thought was funny. After we saw Chris, we saw Laura. Last year, she spent way more time, but she was told to hurry up, and I'm assuming she had a flight, but we saw her on day 1 last year, but she was better last year than she was this year. I totally forgot to include this. I don't know why it totally spaced my mind. I realized, so I filmed this a little bit later. So we met Van in between Chris and Gio and Brayden. He was really nice. We got hugs, autos, and professional photos. I made him a green bracelet that's a Dr. Lucas Jones and a fall bracelet. His favorite color is actually green, so that was good. That's really all I have to say, and then we'll talk about Gio and Brayden. Then we went and saw Gio and Brayden, who were really nice, and they liked their bracelets. Gio even wrote on my photos, thanks for the bracelet, which I thought was nice. We got hugs. Brayden's so pretty. I go, you're so beautiful. She gets all the time. And she goes, oh, so are you. Then we saw Lynn, who always has the longest line because this girl's just like, da, 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 da. And she wore the exact same outfit she wore on day 2 last year, which I thought was crazy. Then the weekend was over. We didn't go to the karaoke, but we also didn't go last year because we like to get home on Sunday. That way I have plenty of time to be able to go to school on Monday morning. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. Poor Katie having to listen to me up about this 24/7. See you next year. Bye!